Hey, welcome to Home Video Hangouts. I'm Cody, and in today's video, I have something a little bit different to talk about. So, a lot of my videos are talking about the benefits of collecting physical media, how great it is to have a great home theater and your own physical media collection of movies, video games, CDs, whatever it may be. But in this video, I wanted to kind of share with you some of the struggles I've had with my own physical media collection and building it up over time. And I just want to kind of talk about some of the more so downsides of having a physical media collection. So, to start out, I wanted to talk about the main thing, which is storage. This is kind of what I've talked about the most on the channel already. If you start building a physical media collection, it can be kind of addicting. You can really get into it and have a large collection. And, I have over 2,000 movies right now. And when you're storing all those in the cases and everything, it requires having multiple shelves, multiple places to store them. And that's why a lot of times I recommend kind of starting out slow when you're collecting physical media. Collect the movies you like first before you start blind buying things and really buying like lots on eBay and really growing quickly that way, because it can be difficult to organize and store that many movies if you're not ready for it. I've come up with a pretty good system of having basic bookshelves where I store all my movies organized by genre, but I am kind of filling up my space and don't have space for a lot more movies until I watch more and get rid of some. So that's one of the big things that I've dealt with collecting physical media that's kind of frustrating, is having the storage space. And there are a lot of solutions to it as well. Some people choose to put their physical media into sleeves and like a binder and not keep the plastic cases, but I personally like to have the cases. I see that as one of the benefits of collecting physical media over digital. And some people will set up basically their own streaming service, just upload their disc content onto a server in their home and then watch content that way. If that works for you, that's great too. That'll save a lot of space. But for those of you who want to actually have the cases in an actual physical media collection on shelves, you just got to be aware of what kind of space you have and come up with a plan for filling it efficiently. But next up, the other thing I've dealt with, unfortunately, that you'll find when you collect physical media is I've bought many discs, whether used or new, that are damaged in the case. This is to be expected to happen once in a while if you're buying used discs. You'll buy one used, it'll seem like it looks good and it's fine, but then you'll go to play it and there's issues with it, or you'll buy something online used and then find out it has scratches or damage to it. But also, in some cases, you'll buy a new copy of a movie and then you'll end up getting something that doesn't play properly, or maybe the case is damaged to where the disc got scratched just in shipping. Those kind of things happen too, which is unfortunate. And luckily, retailers have return policies where you can exchange a title for the same title if it's damaged or something when you buy it new. So there are ways to kind of not lose money on these things necessarily. And even a lot of the used retailers I buy from have return policies too. But that's just one of the kind of frustrations with buying physical media versus digital, is if you buy digital or watch a streaming service, you can expect that it's basically going to work. And sure, in some cases you could have streaming services go down, or maybe your internet's not working, and so streaming services aren't necessarily a solid solution to that either. But overall, a lot of times it's a kind of smoother experience using a digital copy of a movie or a streaming service, as long as your internet's up and running, compared to you never know what you might get buying used physical media. So that's just something you want to consider. Now, the other thing I deal with on a regular basis is the aspect of building a home theater with the proper equipment to fully enjoy your physical media collection. While it's easy to set up some kind of home viewing experience really inexpensively, that's not going to allow you to appreciate the full potential of something like a 4K Blu-ray or the latest high-definition video games on the latest consoles. So it requires, if you want to take full advantage of those, having a high-end TV, a high-end sound system, high-end Blu-ray player, or game system. I mean, all that adds up in cost. It can get pretty expensive. And on top of that, there's always new technology being developed. Not as much on the Blu-ray disc side of things, but with video game consoles or with TVs, there's always a better TV out there that you could have. Or a projector in some cases if you're going for a real large home theater setup. And even with stuff like furniture, like home theater seating. I love the home theater seats that I have, but there's always, upgrades to those you can get and different things, upgrades to home theater sound systems. And so whenever you decide to go down this path of collecting physical media, building a home theater, there's always more you could have, more you could upgrade, and that can get expensive and frustrating over time because there's always that fear of missing out when there's a better TV or a better sound system or better furniture or something. And last thing I wanted to mention as kind of a potential con of collecting physical media is it can be difficult to find some of the content you want on physical media. If you're looking to only buy used, it can be hard to find copies of what you want if they were not released in large quantities or if they're older or more rare. But also some stuff just doesn't get released on physical media or doesn't get released in the highest formats. It's really frustrating how we've seen that certain movies will go to the theater and then shortly after get a Blu-ray release, but then it won't be until months or maybe even years later that it gets a 4K release, if it even does at all. And that's really frustrating for collectors who want stuff in the highest quality possible and put effort into building their home theaters, because you don't want to buy the Blu-ray and then have to rebuy the 4K later. But you also don't want to miss out on buying the Blu-ray right when it comes out if it's a movie you're excited about and it's never going to get a 4K release. So it's tough to kind of make those buying decisions, or in some cases there's even those situations where a 4K release does come out but the Blu-ray ends up being better, like with Pirates of the Caribbean or certain other films that just didn't get good 4K releases. So those are some of the frustrations that you deal with when collecting physical media. I still believe wholeheartedly that building a physical media collection is far superior to just using streaming services or buying the rights to watch digital content, because any of those things could change in pricing over time. Any of that digital content can be taken away from you anytime. No one can take away your physical media from you once you have it. And that's always going to be the biggest benefit of physical media, in my opinion. Sure, it's great to have the higher quality of 4K over streaming and stuff like that, and there's those other benefits, but the biggest one is the ownership aspect. And so while these frustrations I mentioned do exist, I very much still do think that it makes sense for everyone to collect physical media if they appreciate music, film, video games, any of that in any form. And I think over time we're going to see more and more of a resurgence in physical media and people wanting to collect it. So now is a great time to get started collecting it. In all my videos, I always put a link in the description for the latest deals and sales going on Amazon for physical media sales on like TV shows and movies. There's always some great deals to be had there, and buying through my link does help support the channel, so keep that in mind as well. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe buttons down below to stay updated on the latest videos I have releasing. On the channel, I'm always talking about physical media and home theaters and movies that are coming out. I try to see new movies in the theater on a regular basis and share my thoughts on them, and then every day in the community section of the channel, I give a movie recommendation for you to check out too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.